Hello all, welcome to Autopod YouTube channel. Myself Rahul Krishnan. Today we are going to learn about GitHub Copilot. So this will be a series of videos in which you are going to learn about an introduction to GitHub Copilot, how you can enable this GitHub Copilot extension in your IDE, and how you can use this extension to speed up your development. All right. So all these things we are going to cover in the series of videos. So today we are going to learn about an introduction to GitHub Copilot, in which I will give you some insights about this extension and which are the supporting IDs and how beneficial this tool for our development. So all these basic details we are going to cover in this particular video, right? So let's start with the video. So as we all know, GitHub Copilot is an extension, AI-based extension developed in collaboration with GitHub and OpenAI. And again, this GitHub is owned by Microsoft, right? So it's a tool from or product from Microsoft. So why a GitHub Copilot is launched by Microsoft? So as we all know, the phase of development and releases has increased drastically nowadays because of the agile methodology, right? So we have different sprints and we have different releases, and we need to deliver the product to customer within a very short span, right? So the phase of development has increased. So how we can create the products in a faster manner? So for that, developers need some assistance, right? So if development need to proceed in a faster manner, means developers need some assistance to develop the code in a faster manner. Okay, so for that, Microsoft has launched this GitHub Copilot. Okay, so this is an AI based extension which help to give some assistance to the developers to write the code. Okay, in simple words, just consider if I'm writing a program. Okay, so I need to write a method. Okay, so if I give some prompt or if I give some method name, automatically this extension will give you the code suggestion. Okay, it will give you some code suggestion and you can use that code in your project, right? I believe you got some basic idea about GitHub Copilot. Okay, so why these tools? So as we all know, like nowadays generative AI is the trending model or the trending technology that everyone is looking into, right? So what is generative AI? So just consider if I'm giving a prompt. Okay, so prompt is nothing but the input that I am going to the AI model. Okay, so AI model will understand that particular prompt and it will give you the output. So output is not like how we are doing a Google search, right? It will automatically generate the proper response, same like how a person can give, right? It will automatically understand the sensitivity or whatever things that we are providing in that prompt, and it will give you the response. So it is having the capability of generate new data from the data it is trained with, right? So that is the benefit of generative AI. So even this GitHub Copilot is also using a LLM model that is trained to generate codes from the prompt that we are going to give. Okay, so the prompt is nothing but like it may be a method name, a function name, but here the main thing is whatever the data that you are going to give as prompt, based on that the report will get generated from the AI model, right? So we'll understand more about that in this video. So let's move forward. Let us understand more about the GitHub Copilot. So what is GitHub Copilot? So GitHub Copilot is an AI pair programmer that helps you write code faster with less work. Okay, it draws context from comments and code to suggest individual lines and whole function instantly. GitHub Copilot is powered by a generative AI model developed by GitHub, OpenAI, and Microsoft. So just now I mentioned about the generative AI model, right? So it will help to generate new code from the code or from the data that it has trained with, right? So it will be using some public repository to get trained, and it will use that data to train the particular LLM model. And based on the data that we are going to pass to that model, it will understand that prompt and it will give you the suggestion as code, right? It is available as an extension for Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio, NeoVim, and JetBrains suite of integrated development environment. Okay, so these are different IDEs that supports this particular GitHub Copilot. Okay, so as it has mentioned, it is an AI pair programmer that help you write code faster with a less work. So as from the name itself, we can understand GitHub Copilot. So it's not the pilot, right? Pilot, who is a pilot? Pilot is a developer, right? It's just an assistant, or we can call it like a copilot that help the developer to write the code faster with less time, right? So let us understand the working model of this particular copilot. Yeah. Okay. So here we can see these are the public repository or the code that are available on internet, right? So using this available code, this particular model got created, OpenAI Codex model. So this is one model, LLM model that is owned by OpenAI. Okay, so I believe most of us have heard about GPT-3 model, right? So this is also a same kind of a model, but this one will help to generate a code based on the data that or based on the prompt that we are giving to the model, right? And we have the GitHub Copilot service, and here we can see the IDE where developers are writing, right? How it works is, just consider already this particular model is trained with all the available data on the internet, right? So just consider if I'm writing a prompt, okay, provide editor context, then what will happen? GitHub will understand that particular prompt and it will pass to the model, right? So from the so this will give some UI, or what we can, it will give some console kind where uh, this particular model can interact with our ID, right? So GitHub will stand as a mediator between our ID as well as the LLM model. So if you are giving some prompt in the editor, GitHub Copilot service will read that prompt and it will pass to OpenAI model, right? So OpenAI model is already trained with a billions of data or code that is available in public repository. So what it will do, it will filter out a few of the information from the internet, and based on the prompt that we have provided, it will fetch all the data, relevant information from the internet, right? And then it will apply different filters, like just consider if there is some sensitivity data that is available in any public repository, it will ignore all those data and it will give you some suggestion. So does it mean like only one suggestion? No, this particular copilot can give you multiple suggestion, not only in one way. Even if you are writing a Python program, it can give a solution in multiple ways. Okay, so it will give the suggestion to you or in your ID. And if you are just consider, if you got one suggestion primarily, you are not satisfied with that, right? So you can go to the second suggestion. So which suggestion that you are going to take, based on that it will improve the suggestions. Okay, the particular model will improve the suggestion. So the core of this particular service is OpenAI Codex model, and it is trained with billions of code that is available in public repository. But here the main thing is like this is just a copilot, right? It will help the developers to write the program in a faster manner. But just consider these models are not trained on a proprietary model, proprietary repo, right? So all the logic, everything should come from the developer's idea, right? Whatever the data that is available in the internet, only those data only OpenAI can decode and provide to you, right? But it cannot generate some logic for your project or for your business. So that logic should come from your side, right? So how accurately you are providing the prompt or the name of the method to the OpenAI model, it will give you some suggestion by filtering out the data in the internet, and it will give you some suggestion, right? So that is the use of GitHub Copilot tool. Okay, so let us move forward. what data has GitHub Copilot been trained on? So this is one important point, right? So how this GitHub Copilot is trained. So as I mentioned just before, at the core, it is using the Cortex model that is provided by OpenAI, right? So this LLM model is mainly used for generating the code based on the data that it has trained on, or the based on the data that is available on internet and public repository, right? So GitHub Copilot is powered by a generative AI model developed by GitHub, OpenAI, and Microsoft. It has been trained on natural language, text, and source code from publicly available resources, right, including code in public repository on GitHub, right. So it is already trained with millions of billions of code that are available in public repositories in GitHub, right. So which IDE supports GitHub Copilot? So developers may be using different IDEs, right? It can be Visual Studio, or it can be NeoVim, or it can be VS Code, or it can be JetBrains IDE. So JetBrains is having a list of IDE, supporting IDE. For example, PyCharm. PyCharm is one JetBrains IDE, right? So all the JetBrains IDE will support this GitHub Copilot, and the other IDE that I have provided here. So, and another question that can come is, what about Eclipse, right? So Eclipse is one of the idly like most of the developers are more interested with. Even I am also more interested with Eclipse. But as of now, this GitHub Copilot is not supporting Eclipse, right? It will support all the 4 IDE that I provided here, right? So in future, we can expect even Eclipse also will support this particular IDE. So what is the next point? Like how GitHub Copilot supports a developer. So this is very much important, right? So just consider this Copilot we are going to buy, or we are going to purchase to help developers in their coding, right? We should understand how it is going to help the developers, whether it will help the developers, or we are just or we are not getting any ROI from that investment for that particular tool. But this is the data that GitHub has already shared in the site. So research has found GitHub Copilot help developer code faster, focus on solving bigger problems, in the flow longer, and feel more fulfilled with the work. So just consider, instead of writing the code from scratch, or writing the logic line by line, what it will do, like if we are giving some a suggestion or some prompt to the tool, it will automatically generate the code and give it to you, right? So just consider, if you're going to write a method, and if you're going to manually write it, it will be around 20 lines, right? But if you give a proper prompt, and if similar kind of data is available in public repository, what it will do, the AI model will understand that particular prompt, and it will give you the 20 lines of code, right? You don't need to spend time for writing all this code. So 74% focus on more satisfying work. You don't need to spend time on this kind of normal work. You can spend time for something productive. It means like this kind of normal method generation, something you can transfer to this generative AI model, and you can spend your time for writing down the logic for the application, right? 88% feel more productive. So 88% of developers are more satisfied with this product, and it has increased the productivity of the developers, right? And 96% are faster with repetitive tasks, right? So with this tool, developers are able to write the repetitive task in a faster manner, and actually it's very helpful, right? So just consider, you're giving some prompt, and the AI model is giving you some suggestion. That is also not only one suggestion, multiple suggestion it is going to give, and based on the suggestion you can select whichever you want. But here again we have to consider one thing. Again, it's a co-pilot, it's not the pilot, right? Developer is the pilot. So you have to go through the code, and whatever the logic that you want to implement, you need to implement in the code suggested by this co-pilot, right? Then again, one more thing you have to do is, like, you have to ensure the code is safe, right? So even though it is doing a lot of filtering from the public repository, and then only it will give you a suggestion, but again you have to ensure your code is safe and it is not vulnerable to any kind of a security issues, right? So you have to make sure that that is the task of a developer, right? Does GitHub Copilot write perfect code? So this is very relevant question. It has been found that users accepted on average 26% of all completion shown by GitHub Copilot. What does it mean, right? If you are writing a method and if it is giving some suggestion, 26% of developers has accepted that suggestion, right? That is a huge number, right? Also found that on average more than 27% of developer code files were generated by GitHub Copilot. And in certain languages like Python, that goes up to 40%, right? So what does it mean? Like for 40% is available means more number of codes are available on internet or in public repository, and the model is more trained on this particular programming language, right? So but just consider, like if you're writing some old programming language just like COBOL, right? So there won't be much reference links or repositories that is available in GitHub, right? So the model is not that much trained on these primitive tools or primitive programming languages. So in that case, you won't get accurate suggestions in GitHub Copilot, right? And another important thing is like uh, just consider if this model was trained on 2022, right? And after the recent release, some keywords got changed, right? And you are using the latest version for your development means this generative AI model will give you the suggestion based on the data it trained on, right? So it will be generating the data based on the model it got trained on 2022. But in your case, you are using the latest library, so there will be issues while using that suggestion. So you have to understand that and you have to use the suggestions properly, right? However, GitHub Copilot does not write perfect code. It is designed to generate the best code possible given by context it has access to, but it does not test the code suggests, so the code may not always work or even make sense, right? So whatever suggestion that GitHub Copilot is providing to you, it doesn't mean you can directly use that in your project and move to production, right? You have to take the decision whether you have to use that code, and you can make the logic out of it, right? So that that approach should come from the developer, right? GitHub Copilot can only hold a very limited context, so it may not make use of helpful function defined elsewhere in your project or even in the same file. And it may suggest old or depreciated use of libraries and languages. So this is what I told. So if there is a change in the library version, it will not, so Copilot may not be aware, right? So this latest changes has happened. So you won't get the proper updated code in the suggestion, right? So that also you have to keep it in mind. So these are a few of the example of GitHub Copilot suggestion, right? So here you can see this is a Python file and maximum some slice.py file, right? And here a developer has defined a method, so he has used a def and he provided the method name, right? Maximum underscore sum underscore slice, and he provided a variable over the or parameter over there. Then you can see GitHub Copilot has provided a suggestion in the first screenshot, right? So if developer is not satisfied with that, he can skip to the next suggestion, right? Then again, GitHub Copilot is providing another suggestion based on the keyword that he has provided. So the keyword or the method name that a developer providing to the GitHub Copilot is very important, right? So this is a prompt that developer is providing to the AI model. So AI model will read this particular method name that you have provided, and it will give you the suggestion of suggestion like a code, right? So this is how GitHub Copilot will work. I will show more examples in the coming videos, right? So this is just an introduction session in which you will get a basic idea about what is GitHub Copilot and how useful it is to write code and to fasten your development process, right? Will my code be shared with other users? So this is again one important question, right? So will this GitHub Copilot use your code and to train the model, or will it get saved somewhere else, or will it get shared with others? So the answer that GitHub itself provided is no. GitHub Copilot follows responsible practices in accordance with our privacy statement to ensure that neither your prompt or suggestion will be shared or used as suggested code for other users or GitHub Copilot, right? So the data or the prompt that you are providing to GitHub Copilot will not get saved anywhere, or it will not get used for training the model, and it will not be shared to any uh, other developers, right? So your data will be safe. So that is a, final statement. So if you need some more acknowledgement about or uh, more valid statement from GitHub or Microsoft regarding this, you can reach out to the respective team members, and you can get the approved privacy documents from GitHub and Microsoft, right? So that's it about today's session. So I believe you got some basic idea about GitHub Copilot. So it's just an extension that you can add as an extension to your ID from Marketplace. You can directly add it. So for 1 month you will get a free trial version. So I will just go through that as well. Okay, so for 1 month you can get the free trial version, but you have to give the payment details and all. And if you are not interested with this tool, you can cancel the subscription at any time, right? But if you are going to use an individual Copilot version, or if you are going for a business version, what you have to do is you have to pay $10 per month, or you can pay $100 per year, right? For a single user. This is again user based. So for a single user, you will have to pay $10. Again, if you are going for a business purpose, means you can buy this particular extension for $19 or per month, right? Per month per user. Okay. So that's it. So if you want to explore this particular tool, you can register freely, and you can try it out. I'll show you how you can do that. So here there is a button, right? Start a free trial. So I will show you in the next video how you can subscribe to this particular tool in the next video. So thanks for watching the video. Bye. I will come up with more descriptive videos on this GitHub Copilot in this series. So please do watch the videos. Please share with your friends, and try to explore this tool uh, in a much more better way. I'll be sharing these documents that are shared by GitHub in the description, so you can go through that descriptions and documents, and you can understand more about the GitHub Copilot and how it is going to use you in the development. So as a recommendation, I will always suggest all the developers to use this kind of generative AI models or the tools for your development, because now the development methods has already changed, right? So all the companies are developing the products within very short time span, right? So we have to be more proactive, and we have to be more productive. So these kind of tools will help, or it will help as a copilot to deliver the products in a faster manner. Okay, so that's it for today. So thanks a lot for watching the video. Thank you. Bye.